So, at times you might just want to do like a range test. We normally suggest screwing off your furthest sensor from the display and just make sure it's all like alarming. So here you can see we've put this over here behind a concrete pillar, and there's a few cars in between. So we'll walk back to the car we have it on. So there is 2 cars in between and a concrete pillar. So you can hear I'll unscrew it. Air comes out, air stops coming out. I leave it just attached because that's the actual position it's in, and our display hasn't alarmed. So that shows us that we may need a repeater, because obviously we're in between a lot of cars and I'll set it up that way, so we would need one. So you can see here it's still showing 31, which was the pressure on that tyre. So I'll move it out just left of the pillar, and you'll see it's like started to alarm straight away. So I wouldn't expect it to get through a 35 centimetre concrete pillar, but that just sort of shows you an example of doing the range test. So you can just set this up on your dash or wherever you're going to put it, and just leave it sitting there, and then screw your furthest sensor off and leave it on the edge of the thread, and that'll be your test to see if you're going to be fine with range or if you're going to need a repeater. So the repeater for the Tyre Watcher X2 looks like this. It's all waterproof. It can go outside, so that's fine. Where you want to mount it depends. We're going to talk about it in this video here, but I guess what you want to do is you want to put it in the best spot where, if you're talking about line of sight, there'll be less things in between the repeater and the display. So that can quite often be at the top of your rear window, or on top of the van, or even on the van, like an A-frame might be fine. It just depends, and that's why we say always sort of test this, jerry rig it sort of where you want to put it, just temporary, and test that it is going to work. This model here, we have a cigarette plug on the other end, but normally they'll just come with 2 loose wires, and we'll hopefully in the future include some plugs, so you can either use a cig lighter or maybe a piggyback onto an Anderson plug, but we will improve that. So now we need to put the display into the repeater mode. So I'll think about where you're going to put the repeater. I'll put it there. We can even power it up just direct off the battery, whatever's easiest for you, but we're going to put the display into repeater mode first. So we're going to click on left hand button here to go into the menu. You're looking for a PT, which you can see is right there. Click on that, it'll say PUT. So that's exactly what we want to see. So now what we're going to do is we're going to plug the repeater into power. You'll see when you plug it into power, when you plug it into power, the LED on the repeater should flash once. You see that flashed once. Now I click on PUT, so it starts to flash, and you'll see the display just reset. So the display is now paired to the repeater. So you don't have to have the repeater, it's still going to pick up the sensors. For example, if you end up with this repeater mounted on your caravan, no problem at all. When the caravan isn't there, it's still going to pick up the car sensors or airbag sensors, but it's just when it is there, it's going to pick up the signal from those further sensors and just enhance them and send them to the repeater. And send them to the display. So now that's all set up, we're going to do our test again. Unscrewing the sensor, air comes out, leave it on the end, and as I come back here I can already hear the system alarming. So there you go. So hopefully that gives you just an easy way to kind of explain it. So we've got display, we've got repeater, we've got the sensor over there between a few cars, and we knew that the concrete block was blocking it, so the signal's coming boom to the repeater to the display. So that's how it works. So again, just a bit of an overview about the whole repeater setup. So display, repeater, sensors. So first thing to do is you do the test. You put it in, you put the display in your car without the repeater. You unscrew the furthest sensor just off the thread until it's at the end with no pressure on it. See if the display alarms. If the display doesn't alarm, just move it from where it was and take it back a bit further, like just hold it near the back of the car or something like that, and it should alarm. If that happens, you're like, okay, I'm probably going to need a repeater. Or the other way you work out if you need a repeater is if you're driving and you keep seeing your rear left sensor keep showing 88. 88 means like no signal received. So at random times it can show 88, which could just happen because you've driven through a high interference area or something's happened. But if it's shown 88 quite often, then again a repeater may be needed. So it was basically you'll get the repeater, you'll pair the repeater, which we went through before. The unit will restart when you pair it. Then you'll put it where you think is a good spot to put it, and you'll do the unscrew sensor test again, and you'll see if the display alarms. I had a portable battery pack here for that test, but we will work out a better system than that. So we'll probably I think we might, if you get one, we'll try and include maybe some plugs on here and a 9-volt battery terminal, so you can just pop down and get a 9-volt battery, and then you can just walk around with this and stick it, say, up in the corner of the rear window of your car if it's say a 200 series, or if it's a ute, maybe you need to put it somewhere different, or maybe you have a canopy on the back of the ute that's steel and full of tools, so again it needs to go somewhere different. That's why it's a little bit complicated, because everyone's setup's going to be a bit different, and we can't just say a blanket rule. So that's why it pays just to put it where you think it's going to work, do the test, and then you can obviously after that just go for a drive and make sure you're not getting the 88 for it to drop out.